Okay, this tutorial is about drawing a mouth, and just like the last tutorial with drawing a nose, you want to have a really nice drawing pencil that has a good sharp tip, eraser, handy sharpener in case you're going to need it. Most importantly is that you are not drawing from your imagination. You actually have a photograph. Use your phone, use a mirror, but do have a photograph. The other thing you want to have is a nice photograph that isn't overexposed. You want to be able to see some shadows. This one is adequate, could be a little bit better, but for this tutorial it's going to work just fine. Alright, so again, most important, please make sure you are drawing from observation. You want to draw a realistic mouth, not something that is from your imagination, because it won't come out quite the same. Alright, so tips to remember, very similar to the last video about the nose, is number one, please make sure you remember that every mouth has a unique shape and a unique size. Alright, and lastly, just like the nose drawing tutorial, there are very few lines, but mostly tonal values. And here, if you take a look at my image that I'm drawing from, most of the line that I'm really going to be looking at is this kind of dark line, sort of that goes in between the two lips. Dark area here in the corner, dark area here, line gets lighter, a little darker here, and so on. But you have to really carefully observe, because in your image it's going to look different than mine. So if you want to draw along with this image of my mouth, you're welcome to do that, but I would encourage you to use your own image and draw from your likeness, so you can discover some really cool things about what you look like. Alright, so a couple things not to do. I love starting out with the not to do's. Alright, so here's a mouth that I see students draw a lot. Okay, you've got a pair of lips. Alright, not much interesting shape going on to these lips. It's just kind of here and here. Another thing that students like to do is, they draw basically the hard line, and you'll see kind of, just some little things like this. And not always the best way to draw mouths. Again, you really want to look in the mirror and kind of see what your mouth truly looks like. Alright, so we're going to work from a photograph. And again, mirrors are probably better with a really nice light shining on your face. But for a video demo like this, I've got to kind of use what I have here. Alright, so let's get zoomed in a little bit so we can see what's going on. Alright, so I think the most logical place for me to start, since it is the one clear line that I can really see, is this line. It's not straight. Alright, it has little unique bumps, curves, slight changes, but again, you have to carefully observe. Alright. And then turns up a little bit on that one corner. Alright, so the next step, yes, I do kind of have, I am going to use a line, but I'm going to use it very lightly, just to kind of get this bottom part. I want to get this correct slope, kind of comes up here and then does sort of blend in to this shape, which then I can see is a little bit more shading out that direction. Okay, remember that practice swing, get that practice swing. When you're having difficulty drawing a line, take that practice swing until you get it how you want it to go. Okay, I'm okay with that. Alright, here's where a lot of mouths will differ. You can see I don't have a very full lip. My German background makes a lot of my features look kind of angular, and then just, my genetic code, that's just how I look. Okay, Okay, I like to call this kind of like a mountain range. The lips kind of go up, come to a peak, then they dip down, there's a little valley here, and then come back down smoothly, cleanly this way. Some folks have a really large peak that comes way up here. So I like to think about, like, if I'm on a mountain bike and I'm pedaling up this hill, is it a steep climb going this way, or is it more of a leveled out climb? Mine's more of a leveled out climb. Alright, so it just depends on your lip shape. Make sure as you're drawing your mouth, you really look to see what your shape is. Generally speaking, your top lip will be a little bit darker than your bottom lip. Also, I have some age to my lips, so I have a few little tiny lines, or if your lips are chapped, it's winter time and your lips are chapped, those lines might be a little deeper as well. Alright, so I'm just going to start with those really dark points of shading and shadow on my lips. Okay, and then I'm just going to add a little bit of value here. Here it's a little bit lighter in this area, so I'm just going to put a little map in that shape of this sort of lighter value in there. And then I also have a highlight kind of here, so I'm going to map in that shape of a highlight there. And I've got a little bit of a highlight here as well. It's kind of rectangular. And then a little small one right there. I'm also seeing kind of a highlight here on the bottom of the lower lid. So I may need to erase that line a little bit later. But for now, I'm just going to go in and get that mid-tone drawn in. Just light pressure again. I like to go slow at the value, adding it gradually. Because it does start to really make a mess if you put a lot of value down and then you erase it. It gets real messy. So I'm just going to go somewhat slow and add my values kind of like in layers, or shading if you prefer to call it shading. Okay, also kind of like the nose, a lot of shading that you will do is going to be sort of around the mouth. Okay, here's that philtrum shape in here. And when you're drawing the shapes around the mouth, it also helps to define the way your mouth is shaped. Okay, it's all connected. Alright, so just like to have, it's all relative, as we say sometimes. Okay, then I've got this shape over here, which kind of shows that I'm not really smiling much. I've just got the teeniest, tiny little bit of a smile going on. And then I've got this kind of shape down here, which I'm going to put in. And you know what? I'm going to map it in first, because that's going to help me to get it more accurate. And it kind of comes this way. Helps to shape kind of like my chin area. Alright, so I'm just going to map that in. And then there's this tiny little detail. I kind of had that weird little detail on the on my nose video also. Just a little shape. And then there's some changes and variations in that shape that I'm just going to kind of draw. It's like, I know I said I'm drawing a mouth, but really I'm drawing the chin as well. Okay, same thing here. I'll map that shape. Then it runs into that big nose shape up there. So again, just thinking about shapes of value. Try not to think about, I'm drawing a mouth. I can't draw a mouth. Alright, now I'm just going to get in here and get some of those subtle details, like here, for example. Okay, a little shape there that seems to be just a little bit darker. Put a little bit of accents in here and there where it looks like it needs to go. This lip does not have a strong shadow on it, so I really have to look hard to find some of the details. Probably should have gotten a better photograph. So just something you should think about when you start to select your drawing that you're going to do for your lips. Got this little shadow kind of coming in here. Getting another little shadow there. I have this like little birthmark, or it's not really a birthmark, it's not something I've had all my life, but I've got this little weird shape on my lip right there. If I'm really going for realism, I can add it. It's not necessarily a flattering feature, but alright, now I've got this little bit of a detail in here, which kind of comes over here and is sort of connected to this little weird shadow underneath that I drew. Alright, then I believe this is a little darker, so I'm just going in now and looking for the smaller details in the lip shapes. And again, sometimes it helps if you squint your eyes. It helps you to see those values a little bit better. Okay, I could stop here. I want to stop for a minute, just kind of pull back a little bit, look at it. How does it look? Does it look okay?